Kapla YouTube and world. It's Birdo 5. And this is the first episode of the Birdzone, where we're going to discuss paranormal topics, aliens, UFOs, conspiracies, Bigfoots, the Loch Ness Monster, possibly, whatever we want to discuss. Tonight's the night. Do it. It is just a short stream. I'm thinking maybe 30 minutes max because no one else was streaming. And Sunday night is indeed a popular night to stream. And damn it, Doomcock and Nerdrotic, as much as I love them, they haven't done an Exozone now in 2 weeks. So I'm sorry. The Birdzone is coming in. The Birdzone is coming in because I need to talk about this type of stuff. Mysteries, psychics, mediums, paranormal stuff. This is the stream to do it. And Chris M. Collecting asks, what is this fake stream? It's not a fake stream, Chris M. It is weird. It's a real stream. An actor says weird, a late stream. It's a very different stream. This is talking. We're going to talk. I'll talk. I'll talk about something if nobody has anything to bring up. But this is the Birdzone. Welcome, Cinnabon Bunny. Hello. And Life with Matthew says Kapla. And Birdo Prey and all Kapla. Now I don't want to read every single comment in this stream because this is a different type of stream than normal. But I see I'm going to. John DeMarco says hello all. Actor says the Birdzone in my house is full of droppings. And Greg Butler says, what is the official name of the machine that makes their meals? What is the official name of the machine that makes their meals? And he is hailing in from Facebook because we are simultaneously streaming to YouTube and Facebook. Birdzone meals? I don't know, Greg. But a Star Trek replicator? I don't know what that has to do with this right now, though. Yes, welcome. Actor says, let's hope this is better. 47 Yorktown says, hello, Mr. Bird. Cinnabon says it's the crazy zone. Aberjam says, yay, Birdzone. Chris Perzer says, kapla. John Street says, Bird, you son of an alpaca. I was about to record. You can record, Josh. Mysteries of the occult powers of the minds of birds. Listen, I do have some minor telekinesis powers. We can talk about them if you want. They spook me. They spook me as much as they'd spook anyone. And also the couple of times I remote viewed, they scared the shit out of me. Lori Roberts says, hi, hello, Birdman. Welcome, Lori Roberts. Kapla. And don't worry, this will be over long before the Inquisition. Josh Street says they are called beagle bites. No, not beagle bites. Wesley says, what is the Birdzone? I hope you heard the explanation. It's like the Exozone. Yes, except the Exozone hasn't happened in 2 weeks, and this one has. And hello, Lori and Chris. Okay, so we'll talk about first. Let's see, what should be the first topic? Mediums. Do you honestly think there are people who can talk to the dead? Because I'll be honest, at first I was like, no way, no how. That just sounds ridiculous. And just all the implications, if that was really true, it's scary. But this family,
it's true.
Mamo Prey is saying it's true. Mamo Prey has had experience that there's no other way of explaining it. Beyond any doubt I might have had long before Google was a thing, right? You can't say, oh, they just, they found your social media profile and they saw your family member died a few years ago, and so they assumed you're going to talk about that family member, and they Googled that family member. No, this was decades before any of that was even remotely possible. They were telling Mama Pray and other family members things that were, not just like, oh, it could apply to anybody, right? You could say, oh, psychics, they say things and like, oh, yes, there's a person with a vowel in their name. Yeah, I know a person with a vowel in their name, and they're either a man or a woman. And back in the 90s, that's what they were, men or women. No offense to the, current people, but and maybe they were a sister, no, a best friend, no, but a good friend, yes. And they go through this whole spiel, and I'd say probably 90% of psychics and mediums are bullshit artists, but there are the few out there that transcend, and they say something nobody would know. So back in the day, and you guys might remember some of Mama Pray's past, that her parents died young, and her mother died very young, and her father remarried, and so she had a stepmother, and then her father and the stepmother had a kid who was Mama Pray's sister, half sister, but raised as a sister. And so Mama Pray many years ago was at a medium, and the man, it was a group setting, and the man came towards Mama Pray and various things, but said he's getting something he didn't understand. Now he knew Mama Pray's. Okay, so Mama Pray's sister had passed away at this point. My aunt had passed away at this point. She died very young. But Mama Pray's stepmother was still alive, who was my aunt's mother. So now the guy had already known that Mama Pray's mother had passed away. So he's like, I'm not understanding what I'm getting here. And maybe if I tell you, you'll be able to explain it to me. So without knowing anything, and again, 20 years before Google, probably before the founder of Google had even been born. So this is long before you were looking this type of stuff up. The guy comes to her and says, I don't know I don't understand this message I'm getting. Your mother is there. Your sister is there. But your sister is telling me to tell you to say hi to mom. So he doesn't understand why. And the old mom understood, of course. Her mother had passed and her sister had passed, but her mother was not her sister's mother. When her sister said, say hi to mom, she meant Mama Pray's stepmother, who was still alive at the time. And it freaked, I don't know if it freaked Mama Pray out, but it freaked me out when I heard it, because I'm like, oh my God, if these ghosts are alive, to think that they could be seeing all the things I'm doing when no one's around. It's not a great thought. It's not a great thought. Just reality here, people. But Jesus, I mean, how do you get around that? How do you explain that away? I don't know how you do it. And then the psychics Mama Pray went to when with just Sisto Pray was probably what, 1 year old or something.
Yeah, like
Sisto Pray was like 1 or 2. I was 2. So 3 or 4 years old, and they had pictures of me and Sisto Pray as a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And at this point, I couldn't even talk yet. I was in, I don't think I had started speech therapy yet.
You spoke, but
I was spoke, but I wasn't very good. There was something wrong. There was something wrong. Anyway, the guy looked at my picture. Diana was speaking full sentences at a year old, much better. My sister O'Prey, was speaking full sentences much better than I could. In fact, she was translating for me at times. But the guy looked at my picture and he told O'Prey, he says, "This is going to be your scholar. Your intellect, your scholar." And then he looked at Sister O'Prey, said, "She's going to be smart too, but she's not going to shut up long enough to listen." And that's basically exactly what happened. Sister O'Prey is very, very smart, but Jesus Christ, she just keeps on talking and talking and talking. And Sister O'Prey will just keep talking. I've come to expect it from her. But wow. Now she's smart. She graduated high school in 3 years. I was in no rush. I loved school. She did not. She wanted to get out there as soon as possible. She graduated high school in 3 years. She scored better on the statewide math exam than me. Granted, it was by a point. I got 99 and she got 100. But I got 99 going to class every day, and she got 100 going to class, the absolute minimum she needed to pass. So, I mean, it was like that. Yes, she was smart, but she was the less interested in education. That's exactly how one of the teachers at the high school, because we were there for parent-teacher night, and the teacher explained, said to Mom O'Prey, he knew of me. He had not had me in his class, but he'd known of me throughout the department, because I was kind of a big deal in high school, and he knew of me, but he also knew Sis O'Prey, and he said, "Oh, I have the younger, less interested in education O'Prey in my class," to Mom O'Prey. Like he was a little upset that he didn't get a chance for me. So yeah, I mean there was some weird stuff. There was other psychics and other mediums, and when I was sick in the hospital, one of my friends who is probably the closest one to us in accepting of other non-traditional, say, spiritualities, he told Mom O'Prey about a healer that his family had used when a family member had cancer, and he thought there might have been something to this guy, and Mom O'Prey and Dad O'Prey, and it was not cheap. I gotta be honest, this guy was not cheap. And had I been alive and awake, I probably would have said, "Don't you dare." I was alive. Had I been up and awake, I was in a coma. I was in a deep coma, and there has been tons of illness at this point. I had been high fevers, and the doctors every week were warning Mom O'Prey and Dad O'Prey for the worst, because it didn't look like my fevers were breaking. I was 5.5 months having very high fevers, and it didn't look good. And they finally went to this guy, and he does it from a distance. No. Well, first time he did it from a distance. No, first time he came to us. Oh, he did come to the hospital first time.
We paid his.
Oh, that's right. You had to pay for him to get there. You had to pay for his car, his limo, or whatever.
Yeah.
not a limousine, just like a limo, like a back in the day before Uber, a good taxi. Yeah, they didn't care about the money. To be honest, I had plenty of money in the bank. And they didn't care at that point. Like, they would have paid any. If somebody had said, we could save him if we do a chant around him, that would be $50,000. That they would have paid it. This guy wasn't that much, but he was more expensive than I ever would have. Anyway, they paid it. He came. He did his little dance over me or whatever the hell he did. And that next day is the day the fever broke. Did I get perfectly better? No. But the fever broke, and that was the day I started getting better. To that point, I was getting worse. So then a few months later, I was kind of stalled. I was awake. I was conscious, but I couldn't move anything. I didn't even have the strength to push the nurse call button. So this guy did he did it by distance. He didn't have to come to the hospital. For less money, you could set an appointed time and he would do it. Thank you, Thomas Potts. I'll get right to you. And he could do it, remotely. But he said you didn't have to be awake, but it would be best that you did it at a time that you were very content and very quiet, and open to it. So they chose to do it at midnight, hoping that I would be asleep, but I wasn't. Sister O'Prey was there with me. And okay, so it was 11:50, and we told the nurses to please not bother me for like 20 minutes. We had and you're in ICU. This is ICU, so there's constantly 24/7. There's stuff going on. Yes, please don't bother us. We have a private service, a religious ceremony, something. We told them, and they're good. They won't bother you for like 15, 20 minutes. They got their tests out of the way. So we curtains were closed, and we were just sitting there quietly, and midnight comes around, and the first and last time it ever happened, the fluorescent lights above my bed flickered. They just started flickering. There was no way to turn these lights on or off. They were on the entire time I'd been in ICU, and that was going on. I was in ICU 6.5 months. These lights never went on or off. These were the permanent lights that were always on, and they flickered. First and only time they flickered was at just about the stroke of midnight. We saw these lights flicker, and I looked at my sister, and she looked at me. We didn't even say anything, and I just sat there. I was laying there. Like, I couldn't barely do shit. I don't even think I could talk much yet. And the lights flickered, and I don't know. That was the sign. I was half thinking like, this is bullshit, but the light flickered. Who could have done that? Nobody else was there. It was just me and Sis O'Prey. And even if there was a light switch, it wasn't like it's flashed on and off. It flickered for like 5 seconds, and that was it. It didn't flicker again. It didn't flicker again. So it's weird. It is completely weird stuff like that that's made me a believer. Thomas Potts with a $1.99 super chat. The blood in your basement wasn't paranormal. Thomas. Okay, so for those who don't know, the other day we had a lot of rain in the neighborhood, and neighborhoods in this area, basements tend to flood because the soil is heavy clay, and there's not a lot of place for the rain to drain quickly when you get heavy downpours. Now, it's been years since it flooded, but we purposely don't have carpet down there just for that type of reason. And so I put in a tweet that the basement had flooded, but in case I accidentally hit B instead of F, typoed flooded, and I called it blooded. So ever since then, people think I've had blood in my basement, but there was no blood in the basement. That's fake news.
No blood, just red water.
Yeah, just the water was red because of natural, iron or something. Cinnabon says, what bird seed do you recommend to attract bald eagles? I hate to tell you this, but rabbit. You don't want bald eagles, Cinnabon. You don't want bald eagles. Aberjam says, bird of prey, of all the cryptids, which do you think is the most likely to exist? What the hell's a cryptid? Cryptids. Am I losing cryptids? We're Googling it. Entities that may be considered cryptors by cryptozoologists include Bigfoot, Zeddy, the Chupacabra, and the Jersey Devil, Loch Ness Monster. Okay. Well, first off, I'm pretty sure the Chupacabra has actually been found. They have found animals that that just don't belong to any known species. And, it looks like, I would say, they could be responsible or be at least called the Chupacabra. They look weird enough. I'd say Chupacabra is almost already found. Of the rest, unfortunately, I just don't think the Loch Ness Monster exists anymore. Maybe it did at one point, but I mean, listen, if we haven't found it yet, I don't think it's there. Maybe it was like a big eel or something in the lake, or a couple of times that people cited. I don't know. That's that sonar picture of what looks like a flipper. That could have been anything. That's ridiculous. I don't think Loch Ness Monster is there. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, I think it's very possible. I would suspect if it exists, it's probably in the Pacific Northwest and Asia, the mountains of Asia. So say a Yeti, which would be the mountains of Asia, and Sasquatch, which would be the Pacific Northwest. I don't think there's any Bigfoot in the Northeast or the Southeast or Texas or Ohio or any of these other places. I think there's just not enough land to possibly sustain any of them. That said, if there's evidence, I'd love to see it. I would love to see it. But I think the Pacific Northwest there's still so much land you fly over in planes that isn't close to being penetrated by humans, that there still could be, a small population of these things out there, and they're purposely not crossing with humans. And also, I think the fact is the government might be covering them up, because if they were found to exist, they would go down as endangered species, and we would have to end our logging industry to comply with the endangered species law. And I think even the government knows they can't end all logging in the Pacific Northwest. It would be a disaster for the economies of those states and millions of people. So I think there is a little bit, maybe perhaps, government reason to try to cover up some existence of a Sasquatch. That's just my opinion. Obviously, I don't have any proof of it. It's just something that makes sense. Josh Street says, who's on first? Yes. Lori Roberts says, who exactly? Wesley says, no one can talk to the dead, but demons maybe. Wes, I would beg to differ. Derek McManus says, Birdzone. This seems vaguely familiar. I did do a spooky zone once, but this is the Birdzone. Cinnabon says, my mom thinks she talks to the dead, and they come in her dreams with messages. Dreams are a whole other thing, Cinnabon. Um, I don't know. Let's see. We still have time? Not really. Okay, but listen, this is how I think things work. I think if, as you're a child, you're a baby, you're a child, you actually can see a lot more and perceive a lot more than you do as an adult, for the most part. Like my cousin, when he was a kid, he used to talk about a blue cat he had before he was born. And then as he grew older, he just stopped talking about it. He'd say, oh, it was a kid, an imaginary friend. But this wasn't an imaginary friend after he was born. This was stuff he was talking about that he knew, as matter of factly, he would talk about it before he was born. But then you grow out of it and you stop talking about that stuff. Maybe because society never brings it up. You feel awkward. Your brain blocks it out. You know, like when you wake up and you can remember a dream and you're like, wow, that's such a crazy dream. I'll never forget that dream. But an hour later, you're like, holy shit, I know I had a dream, but I completely forgot it. That's normal. I mean, your conscience like buries it, even though unless you write it down or something. That's why if you're going to do dreams, you have to have a journal. No matter how much you think you're going to remember a dream, it could be gone in an hour. It could be gone in 15 minutes. And I think in the same way, we lose a lot of what we might have remembered or thought we remember as kids. We just lose it. We grow out of it as adults and we're not in tune to it. But I think some people remain in tune to it, whether it's biological, a genetic thing, or a mental thing, something with their brain chemistry, or spiritual, or what. I don't know what mechanism it is, but some people remain in tune with it their entire lives. And that's just what I believe. That's just what I believe. There is a crazy case of a kid who believes he would talk about how he was a fighter pilot in World War II. And he would talk about the old members of his squadron. And he knew these things. And his parents were like amazed. They didn't know if he was just dreaming this shit or he was imagining it. But the father started looking up, and the squadrons, the numbers, the places, they all were making sense. And yeah, he was remembering names. So the father looked up the names and he found somebody who was still alive. And he wrote to the guy and he's like, this is going to sound crazy, but my son is saying X, Y, and Z. And the guy wrote back and he says, holy shit. Yes, that guy was my friend. He was shot down and killed over, I don't know, Iwo Jima or whatever it was. And they met. The guy met the kid, and the kid basically remembered being the fighter pilot that was the friend of this guy who got shot down. And he knew all this shit that a 7-year-old should not know. There's no way in the world a 7-year-old would know these details. I mean, that's a crazy story. And that's documented stuff. But people don't like to think about it, and it gets ignored. Like Matthew says, mediums, I'm more of a large-headed for extra large. If I don't start exercising more. I don't. Ask Cinnabon what?
About his mother's messages.
Cinnabon says she's a bit weird.
Have any of
the messages come true, Cinnabon? That's, I guess, the question. James Villanova. Welcome, James Villanova. Says medium, not me. I'm a 2XL. These days, so am I. There was a time in college I got down to XL. I had been like a 3XL and even a 4XL before college. Like I couldn't go to clothes. I couldn't go clothes shopping at like a normal mall. I had to go to the big and tall store. And then I really did a lot of work to cut down my weight throughout college. And at one point, I actually got down to an XL shirt. And it was so weird to be able to shop for clothes in like the mall. It freaked me out a little. I'd still go back to the big and tall shop, even though I didn't have to. I was more comfortable there. And these days I'm at like a 2XL. So yeah. I don't ever remember wearing a medium. I'll be completely honest. Might have been like 2 weeks when I was 12 or something. Yeah, Mom will probably don't ever remember it either. I think I went from kids large to large or XLs. Lori Roberts says hello to Derek. And Derek says, hi, I'm an XL. Well, good for you, Derek. You know, it's so weird because when you're like, I always, to me, clothing sizes started at XL. It was just how many X's, 1X, 2X, 3X, 4X. It completely boggled my mind that small, medium, and large were even a thing. And of course it is for the majority of people. It's SML and XL. But for me, who was a big guy my entire life, and my dad as well was too, you know, there was nothing ever small, medium, or large in my house. The only question was how many X's, at least for men's clothing. That you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, not yeah, in the house for men's clothing. Obviously, Sister will pray and Mom will pray. They had different body styles. 47 Yorktown says, how many layers of foil do I need for my hat? Well, the more the better. I mean, I haven't tried. Unlike Anti-Tracker, I've not yet actually tried an aluminum foil hat, but I'm starting to wonder if I should. I mean, maybe it actually does do something. I mean, is it really that crazy to try one? Aberjam says to Josh Reed, no, what's on first? Who is on second?
No.
Nope, that is incorrect. Live with Matthew says, hey, Wesley, I sent you and Cinnabon a message on Steam earlier. Agner says, my pigeon does not eat corn grains, only small types of grains. How can I make him like bigger grain? I'm not a bird expert, Hector. I'm assuming if the pigeon only wants to eat smaller grains, it's probably all that can fit through its beak. And Derek says, all hail to Laurie Roberts, indeed. John DeMarco says, well, if you want a biblical example, Saul was able to talk to Samuel after he died. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's a good thing. Oh, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it's I think it's real for very few people, but it's real. Josh Reed says, is the Birdzone the place where Kurogans go to watch Bird of Prey for $5,000? I mean, if somebody wants to send me $5,000, I take it, but it's not necessary. There's no monetary requirement. Actor says 47 Yorktown, Bird 3 as a minimum. James says, be aware mediums that want to buy a vowel. Yes. Yes. Wesley says 100% of them are BS. Again, Wes, I beg to differ. Cinnabon says, hey, Matthew, I saw I might be able to play for a little bit later. Very cool. Josh Reed says, Aberjam, UK, no. What's on second? Who's on first? And Freddie is pitching with Frankie catching, you sons of bitches. Lori Roberts, some are for real. I agree, Lori. Actor. Okay. Mike Richards says, greetings from Columbus, Ohio. Derek says, lots of unusual things in this world. Yes, and we should talk about them more and not ignore them. Trek 95 says, hello, Trek 95. Actor asks, oh, Derek, are you awake? And Surf Trictronics says they had data cards the audience filled in to get on the shows, and the producers talked to the psychics through an earphone. Maybe on a television show that's true, but not where Mamo Prey went.
No, in person.
This was an in-person in a group setting, and there were no data cards or anything filled out.
I didn't make the reservation.
And Mama Pray didn't even make the reservation. It wasn't even under her name.
Right.
The person who made the reservation had a completely different name than Mama Pray. Just to be clear, there was nobody knew her name beforehand. Derek says talking to the dead via another person. Yes, that's what medium is. Derek says, I was able to go to bed, Hector, when I saw a notification. I couldn't resist. Oh, thank you. At 2 a.m., says Hector. Aberjam says, Bird of Prey, mediums talk to thousands of people. A broke watch is right twice a day.
My situation.
That was a pretty unique situation, Aberjam. Like this might be a broke watch, but it's a broke watch with a day and month and year. So it's not it's not right twice a year. It's worth twice in 10,000 years. And Chris Perzer says you better delete your browser history, Bird. Well, why? Why would I do that? And Derek says you don't sleep much, to be honest, Hector. And Surf Bird crushed millions of beetles with rocks when he was a child. I used to do terrible things to bugs. Lori Roberts says, not to sound like Star Wars, be it true or no one ever dies, we go to another dimension waiting for rebirth.
I believe that.
Yeah, Mama Pray believes that, and something happens. I don't know what it is, but something happens. Hector says, crush. They are all, but don't care. Derek says, well, you can speak fine nowadays, Bird. Oh, thank you, Derek. I used to call myself Growy. I couldn't even pronounce J's. Surf Through Times Bird of Prey Watchmen season finale about to be on. You're going to do a live watch? Hell no. I'm done. I was done with Watchmen after episode 1, Surf. But I hope you enjoy it if you're going to watch. Lori says they see all I meant. Yes, well, I don't like that idea. Josh Reed says, low Bird, you're the one that talks all the time. That is true. Well, no. Outside of my YouTubing, I am not the one who talks all the time. Derek says, Bird got the brains, Sis got the looks. Oh, to be honest, Sis has pretty decent brains, too, when she's not yapping away about something. Actors of Surf Tectonics, he saw the first episode and hated it, so I very much doubt. Yeah, no, I stopped watching. Proverbial, says Lori Roberts. Surf Tectonics says every New Yorker I have met will talk your head off. Well, you haven't met me in person. Lori says I'm a New Yorker, and yes. Cinnabon says Sisso Prey never stops talking, says the YouTuber. Well, I believe it or not, I stopped talking between YouTube streams. Chris Cinnabon, where I come from, we call that irony. And Track 95 says Cinnabon, the bird saying his sister talks a lot. Derek McMahon says doctors do that so they look better if you recover. Lori, I hated school. Oh no, I was so nerdy, Lori Roberts, that in the days like at the end of summer vacation, when school was like a few days away, I would tell Mama Pray that I was going to wake up at the time I'm supposed to wake up for school, like whatever that was, like 7 a.m., to do some trial runs to make sure I was getting up in time to have enough time to get ready to get to school. Whereas Sisso Prey was like, don't wake me up until 5 minutes after the alarm goes off, and then give me another 15 minutes to lay there before I wake up. It couldn't have been more different. And Derek says, me too, Lori. And it's Thomas Potts with his super chat. The blood. There was no blood, Thomas. Derek says, my daughters loved it. Funny how things change. Derek, oh, your daughters love school. Gotcha. Well, it's good. It's good to love school. It's like it's not work if you love school. Derek says, hey, Thomas. John DeMarco says, so you're saying doctors multiply their healing estimates by a factor of 4. So they're a miracle worker. No, I don't know. These doctors, well, if these doctors wanted to pretend, they all said that I might not make it. But once I did make it, then they all said, oh, I'll be walking within a year. So they certainly didn't. They said, yeah, the diagnosis was a bit off. Chris Berger, Lori Roberts, I love school. I just didn't like the teachers. You know what? That's fair. There were some teachers I just could not stand. And Lori says, in 4th grade, I told my mother, I know how to learn. I don't need them. It didn't work. Thomas says, Derek, hello. Trying to know if Thomas, how much blood was there? You don't. Oh no, what happened? Did we lose the spot? There we are. We got a lot of chats. Tom Spots is track 95 more blood than when he killed someone named Sandy. I didn't kill anybody named Sandy. Derek says, what a coincidence. Laurie says, everything that's brought me serious money was self-taught. Very cool. Josh says, Thomas, you know the basement is where Birdfather does his torture of people that steal or mess with Bird's trash. Talking about Thomas, all I know is that was bloodied, but how deep? But not how deep. Thomas's Bird's basement is hell. Wow. Abian Bird of Prey, so you paid a guy to make a light flicker. I didn't pay him, but yes, he got paid. Actress is the Marvel rat did the flickering. NYC limo. Yeah, well, yeah, that's what they call like a limousine, but it's really just a black, like a black town car or something. Chris, Derek McManus, another late night, I take it. Josh Reed says, Thomas Potts, Bird does live Caroga, New Jersey, where Robot Hell. No, I don't live in Caroga, New Jersey. Caroga is not in New Jersey. Caroga is in New York, and I don't live in New Jersey, period. Chris Sam Collecting says, some of the poor slave children drowned. No big deal. Derek says, yep, Chris was about to go to bed and saw a notification. And Cinnabon is doing a shocked face and a thumbs down. I'm sorry, Cinnabon. That's what eagles eat. They eat rabbits and fish. So keep them away. Don't get eagles. Okay, I'm afraid. When your bunny was outside the other day, I was freaking the hell out. What if there was a bird? Like a bird of prey out there. Trek 95 says, I think he saw the truth in his tweet, but is now trying to backpedal. Derek says, cryptid, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster. Thank you. Lori says it's called remote healing. Yeah. Yeah, and let's say it was partially effective. We did it. We did it again. I got a little better. And then we paid the big bucks again for him to come to the nursing home. And then nothing much happened. Chris Berger says, Derek, it's all good. Just interesting to bump into the same people in different channels. Derek says the Loch Ness Monster is an invention of the Scottish Tourist Board. Yes. Derek says, Chris, that's why I coined the term the usual suspects. Thomas Potts puts a link to the Travel Channel, a ghost hunting show he likes. Very cool. You see, don't get me wrong, I would watch ghost hunting shows, but the thing is, I know they're not going to really find a ghost. If they ever did really find a ghost, just like if a TV show ever really found Bigfoot, it would make the news, days or weeks before it ever aired. Because those not like those shows are live. So they have to be edited, they have to be put together, and then it takes time before they're aired. If any of them were actually ever really found, it would make the news. Aberjam says the Scottish Tourist Board was invented by aliens. All monsters are Kurogan science experiments gone wrong, says Thomas. Josh Reese says, if you believe in Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, and other paranormal activities, we are ready to believe you. Yes, Ghostbusters. ESP, that poor guy at the beginning of Ghostbusters. And Bill Murray was giving him electrical shocks. And even when he got things right. Derek McManus says Nicola Sturgeon was invented by aliens. Lori Roberts says it's not weird. Study ACIM. Have to Google that. Thank you, Lori. Chris Bird of Bird of Prey. How about the possibility of a short, bald Sasquatch, approximately 6 foot tall, around the Appalachians? I would say that's probably a hairy, bald dude running around the Appalachians without clothes on, Chris. I just think that the population density everywhere but the Pacific Northwest is too high to realistically have enough Sasquatch to have a breeding population. Lori says it's not. I just read that. Derek says animals see more than people. That's weird. But yeah, sometimes. Lori says, Derek, yes, there are. Chris Further, Derek, that would make me Michael McManus. Thomas is my cousin. When she was a kid, asked her grandmother what a word meant. Her grandfather used to call her dad as an insult. He had died years before. Wow. Lori says, so evolved. Derek says, Chris Berger says that Derek, sorry, I forgot to ask if you'd seen the movie Usual Suspects. Who hasn't seen Usual Suspects? Trek 95 says, Bird of Prey, if a friend's child remembers her past life, there is too much. A 2-year-old would not know. It could not have herds. A friend's child remembers her past life. There is too much a 2-year-old would not know or could not have heard. I believe you, Track 95. I really do. I think young kids remember a hell of a lot more. And if we asked them more questions, I think we'd be freaked out by what they had to say.
Jason was about 2 when he was talking about.
Yeah, my cousin was about 2 when he was talking about his blue cat. Between 2 and 5, that's when kids lose the ability. Most cases. Derek says, indeed, Chris, a good show. Surgeon's Bird of Prey, the CIA uses remote viewers, and they had analysts mentally project Bin Laden's compound. The CIA does, well, I don't know if they admit to using remote viewers now, but they certainly had remote viewing programs in the past. And
Well, they claim there's a base on the dark side of the moon.
There's some weird, there are some. Remote viewing is a very freaky thing, but I think it might be something. I do. I think there might be something to it. Wesley says, what's Bird talking about? Hopefully you figured it out. Carlo says, hi, I hope all are well. I am, Carlo. Thank you. Derek says, when my twins were little, one hurt herself, the other one cried, even when they were apart. Oh, spooky twin stuff is a whole other thing. But yeah. Lori says, Surf, you are correct. Cinnabon says, yes, it's strange. Still hard to believe. I always ask why no lotto numbers. I think it just doesn't work like that. Track 95 is Bird of Prey, clothes or movies or the number of X's. No, I don't think about movies by how many X's. Lori says when a kid starts a sentence, when I was big, listen. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely. Carlos says life is strange, more than we can explain, and the mystery of life is important to give us something to explore scientifically and spiritually. Very cool. Ozzy, Bird of Prey, how are things? Hail Karoga, Kapla. Things are well, Ozzy. I just figured I'd take some time this Sunday evening to talk about some spookier things, some more spiritual, spooky stuff. And maybe we'll do it again a little earlier next week. We'll see. Thomas says, there's no difference between men and women. Thomas, there are differences. There are differences, but one is not better than the other. Sir Turktronic says, if you wrap your phone in tinfoil, it will block the signal. I wonder if that's actually, I guess it does. The strange thing is we think it's strange. That's true. Resolute Germ says, hello all. Welcome, Resolute. Reactor says, I won't read the comments in this stream. Yeah, okay. So I'm reading the comments. You're right. I don't know how not to read the comments. Wazzy Bird of Prey, have you ever been ghost hunting? I have only found a pissed off demon. No, Wes, I've never purposely sought out ghosts. But I do believe I've battled demons. I do. It's like actual demons. It happens every so often, every few years. I go to sleep and I wake up and I just feel like I've been in a battle with a demon the entire night. And usually it goes on for several nights. I don't know. Carlos's Bird of Prey, is it the afterlife they're seeing, or is it your soul communicating with? You see, I don't know. There are multiple explanations. Is it an afterlife? Are all souls connected? Right? Do humans have a collective consciousness? Like Nikola Tesla thought that there was a collective consciousness, and that all the answers to the universe, to every question, every invention, every problem had an answer, and you could just listen for it. And you could, if you knew what you were doing, you could tune yourself in to listen to the answers. Aberjams says, Bird of Prey, have you ever been abducted by aliens? I just figured with your obsession with anal probing. I have no obsession with anal probing, and no, thankfully, although at this point I probably wouldn't mind being abducted. I would hope they could fix my legs. If the aliens, if you're listening out there, aliens, if you can fix my legs without probing me anally, that'd be swell. And preferably just keep me asleep while you do it, so I don't get all freaked out by it. I just wake up and I can stand back to life. That would be good. Actor says, Wesley, was it a bald demon? In that case, are you sure you didn't awake Captain Picard? Thomas says, Nicole, yes, some men do. Some men do. Nicole says, well, that doesn't count. Lori says, it's a great thing. Surfer Trying says, kids like school now because freshman history, they do arts and crafts. I did not like art class. And I do not like to eat bunnies, Thomas. Aberjam says, Bird, do you have any memories from your coma? Like people visiting and talking to you. Did you have any dreams? So when I was in the coma, I had this ongoing, and I assume it was in the coma, but I had this ongoing dream where I knew I'd been sick, and my family had come over, and we had moved to Hawaii, and we were living on a big house on the beach in Hawaii, on the big island of Hawaii. And like, I'm like, what are we doing here? And my parents are like, oh, you got sick and we invested your money and we sold the house and now we don't have to worry about money anymore. So we bought this house in Hawaii, and it was like all my family was there. And I was actually very happy. I was very content. I mean, to be completely honest, Hawaii is not where I would have bought a house, but it wasn't bad. I mean, I'm not going to complain. Like, somebody's like, oh, we got you a house in Hawaii. I'm like, I'm not going to say, you bastards, I wanted Sedona, but I'll take Hawaii. It was fine. And the family was there and everybody was happy and I was content and it was good. I was enjoyed it. I was in Hawaii. And then as I started to awake, all I remember was being very, very content. Very content. And then as I started to wake up, I would have, and they were still injecting me with these weird drugs to kind of knock me out a little. I was having some weird like hallucinations. And one of them is that I dreamed that the hospital bed was made of glass and it broke. And, the hospital bed broke. And they sent me on the hospital bed down to the basement where like there was a machine shop. And the guy said, oh, I'll fix the bed. And he put a glass, a sheet of glass under me in the bed. And that was the fix. And he's like, okay, now just remember to remind people that there's glass in the bed. You don't want anybody like to break the glass. And I was scared shitless for, I don't know if it was hours or days, but I kept telling like my parents, the glass, you got to get the glass fixed. And they were like, what are you talking about? There's no glass. And I was like, no, you don't understand. And I couldn't move. I couldn't talk. But I was like, I could barely talk. I was like, you don't understand? The guy put the glass under me when I was in the basement. I was making 0 sense to anybody. But Sis O'Prey finally realized that I was hallucinating. She said, no, it's okay, Joe. We got rid of the glass while you were asleep. And that was the only thing that calmed me down. I was like, oh, yeah? And she's like, yeah, you were asleep, and they took the glass away. There's no glass anymore. And that was all I needed to hear. I was happy again. But, like, honestly, like, that was freaking me out that there was still glass under me. And my parents, I love them, but they didn't understand what was going on. Sis O'Prey did, and thankfully, even though she lied to me, it was indeed the right move. And then I remember I was in ICU, and they didn't really move me around in ICU. But what would happen would be doctors and nurses, like 5 of them would come in. They'd have to turn me on my side, and they would start debriding the wounds because I had 3 giant stage 4 bed sores on my back. And they'd be debriding the wounds, and I'd be in a total pain. They'd try to give me morphine, but I had pretty much grown immune to morphine. And all this shit would happen. And in my brain, I took it as they were moving me. They moved me out of the cubicle I was in. They did whatever they were doing to me. And then they moved me to a line. And like it would take an hour or something before, like there were like 4 hospital beds in front of me, and those hospital beds would have to be taken away. And then I'd finally be moved back up to the spot I was in. But none of this was really happening. This was just what was happening in my mind. And then one time this happened, and what I saw was that they went like over the top crazy decorating the room for me. I came back and I was like, oh my God, this is so nice. And like to me, in my brain, it looked like, they had got professional people to put up banners and to put up cards and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, they did this for me. It's so great. It's so beautiful. And what really happened was, I mean, listen, they did hang up a few cards and they did put up like a get well soon banner, but it was like, scotch taped on a sidewall. And I think Sis O'Prey said, put my name in a few Legos on the side of the bed. And in my brain, I had transformed this to like they had basically decked out a catering hall just to me. It meant a lot. I was very happy. But it took a long time before I realized that they were not taking me out of the cubicle every day and putting me in a line to get back. I mean, it made no sense. Like, where would the line even start? But I used to think that there was. I remember asking, I was like, do they take me at night, or do they take me when they take me away? And they're like, what are you talking about? They don't take you away. You're here all the time.
They
would take me for CAT scans and stuff.
But even dialysis was done at.
But almost everything else was done at the bedside, even dialysis. So, I mean, the coma memories was, I was happy. I mean, not to put it bluntly, I was happy. I wasn't in distress, although everybody around me was. Bird of Prey, they saw something in that clip. Oh, that's cool. I mean, I'll take a look. But, I mean, obviously it's not definitively anything. Resolute says the guy took the $5. Venkman was completely justified in shocking him. Thomas says, if we wear down all the trees, we will find the truth. If we tear down all the trees, we will find the truth of Bigfoot. Carlos says sliders are everywhere, and that's why they know things about us, even though we don't know them. Sliders, like the TV show? If there's a cosmic consensus, maybe there are people who can tap into it and see the past consciousness. There are people who can tap into it and see the past, present, and future. I agree. That's a distinct possibility. And Cinnabon says, if you shot a Bigfoot, would it be murder or poaching? It would be it's actually illegal in a number of states to shoot a Bigfoot. Like New York made it illegal to shoot a Bigfoot. If you ever did find a Bigfoot in New York, it would be illegal to shoot it. And I would assume it'd be closer to poaching. It's not murder. Murder is for human beings. Well, if it was attacking you, you'd have to say it's coming right at me and shoot at it for self-defense. Self-defense is different, but it's not murder. I mean, it's not murder when you kill an animal. It's some type of animal charge. Or, if it's an endangered species, then it's the Endangered Species Act. Carlos says pest control. Thomas says, I had a scary moment. I woke up feeling something on my feet. Woke up and saw nothing. Then it happened again. So I took my covers off and saw my cat playing with my feet. And Carlos is sorry they have to go in through the back door. No. Aberjam says, I had 2 anal probes for my diverticulitis bird. It's not as bad as you might think. I don't want to have to deal with it. Cinnabon Bunny says, what if they said they could fix your legs, but you had to have a dick on your forehead? Would you still do it? Yeah, why not? That's twice the chances. I wouldn't mind. I mean, it would be weird. Don't get me wrong, but if they were adding an extra one, why not? Resolute says, you sure it wasn't Tahiti? Well, they told me it was Hawaii. I'm not 100% sure it wasn't Tahiti, but I felt it was Hawaii. It looked like Hawaii. I'd been to Hawaii, so I assume that's why it was Hawaii. Light with Matthews, a Cinnabon. That's a monkey's paw kind of fix. Wesley says, Bird, no guys, the demon did not have a physical form, only a spirit. It was haunting a house. I gotcha. Wesley, and it could not hurt me. That's why it was pissed off. Interesting. Was it on a different plane of the space-time continuum? Like Matthew, Wesley, are you working tonight? Can you play 7 days after the stream? Al Carlos is Wild Bird. Thanks for sharing with us how your mind was interpreting what was happening around you. Thank you. Not a problem, Carlo. Bolton Gunman says, hey, Bird, how's it going? What WTF? You're up late. Yeah, well, I figured I'd do a Sunday night stream. Nobody was streaming, so I figured we'd try out the Birdzone and see how it goes. Thomas Spots is Bird of Prey. If aliens landed on Earth, the media wouldn't care. All they have is TDS. Nothing else matters to them. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, Thomas. Resolute says shooting a Bigfoot is a Class B felony in Washington State. I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. Wesley says, I like Matthew is he's at work. He'll be off in 3 hours. And Carlos says, what's wrong with Backdoor? If she asks to peg you and you love her, don't you say yes? So what's no, I don't say yes. I don't say yes. That's exit only. Thomas Potts is Resolute. Tahiti is a magical place. I would have picked Vegas or Sedona, Arizona, or Las Vegas, probably before Hawaii. But listen, I like I said, I wasn't mad about Hawaii. I wasn't going to complain. And Surf says the glass bed sounds. It was the glass bed was scary. I was literally freaking out that the bed was going to shatter at any moment, and I was going to get glass all in me. And yeah, I was freaked the hell out. So it was actually very good of Ciso Prey to make up that lie that they took the glass away. Aberjam says, I died in a dream once, and when I woke up, a shadow figure was holding its hand out to me. I sat up and flailed at it. It disappeared, and then I was suddenly tucked in my sleeping bag, arms too. Wow. Aberjam says, I believe I was dead in spirit form. And Moldigaman says, New York is my personal favorite, Thomas. That's interesting. You think you prefer New York to Tahiti? Wesley says live with Matthew next time, hopefully. Yeah. Anyway, guys, so I went about an hour longer, 30 minutes longer than I was planning on. So I think we'll call it a stream here. And maybe we'll do this next week. We'll see. We'll see if anybody's interested in talking about some weird stuff. So guys, remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Share this if you would like to. And if you want to find this live stream later, it will be unlisted, but it will be available on the Bird of Prey 5 channel on the playlist live and unlisted, and also on the playlist StreamYards. What?
You've got more
chats. I see there's more comments coming. Cinnabon Bunny says Vegas for hookers, Sedona to hide the bodies. Carlos says, can our consciousness leave our bodies, roam about? Some religious believes you can. I kind of do. I kind of think so. I kind of think it might when you are remote viewing. Wesley says, later, Bird. Take care, Wes. Multi Gunman says the world needs more Bird. Thank you. McClunky says Aberjam. Take care, Aberjam. McClunky. Carlos says thanks and good night all. Mike Richards says farewell from Columbus, Ohio. Thomas says Multi-Gun Man, Tahiti is a magical place, is what Coulson says in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. John reads his Bird of Prey up past your bedtime, so why not keep going? Oh, because the Inquisition starts in a little bit, and also I'm getting tired. Alexander Brooks says, good night, Bird, and he puts in an eagle. I really enjoyed this stream. Thank you, Alexander Brooks. I enjoy doing this stream. And is that your DeLorean in your avatar? That would be super cool. I almost bought a DeLorean. The problem was I couldn't fit in it, nor could I drive stick at the time. But I was seriously, there was a point in my life where I was seriously looking into purchasing a DeLorean. I wasn't going to keep it. I was just going to drive it for a year and then resell it. And I was kind of convinced that I could do it without losing all that much money. But then sanity prevailed when I saw just how small the interior of it was. Thomas says GOODNIGHT. Good night, Thomas Potts. And Multi-Gun says, Thomas, okay, I did not know that. Oh, more chats. Tregan Cinnabon Bunny, when is the next bunny stream? Live long and alpaca, says Wesley. Josh reads his Bird wants his nicely order of Beagle Bites before he goes. No. Bunnies were for target practice. Oh, Jesus. Cinnabon, I don't know. Maybe tomorrow he'll do a stream. Yes, that's my DeLorean. Very cool, Alexander. Very, very cool. Wesley gives live long and prosper. And Alexander's had his since he was 16. Freaking amazing.
How old is he?
Yeah, well, I assume. I guess it depends how old he is now. But still, that's pretty cool. Albert James says, if anyone knows how to handle a stick, it's you, Bird. Har, har, har. Good night, all. Take care. And kapla. Nicole had something?
Yeah.
I don't see it. What'd Nicole say? Oh, okay. Now it popped up. Welcome, Nicole. If it serves the purpose, then I am sure the news would be told what not to say and what they can report at any contact would be played down to a point no one would take it for real. Alexander says, I'm short, only 5'7". Well, that helps. You don't understand just how much better it is to be that height when you're driving or flying or doing anything. Like they don't make cars for 6'4" people, and they certainly don't make hospital beds or gurneys or hospital rooms or any of that stuff for people who are 6 foot plus. They just don't. Every time I drove, I knew that if God forbid, I was in an accident where the car flipped over, I would probably die. Whereas a 5'8" person would probably walk away with minor injuries, because my head was just an inch from the top of the vehicle. If the vehicle roof got pushed in even an inch, it was a massive head injury. Whereas there was no protection behind my head from the whiplash or whatever, because my head towered over the headrests, and I tried to put in bigger headrests, and they didn't make bigger headrests. It was, it was crazy. It's like they don't care. They don't care. Alexander's 31 now. Very cool, Alexander. Well, I hope you enjoy it. Multi-Gunman says, Alexander Brooks, you can time travel if you reach 88 miles an hour. Nicole says, good night, Nicole. No, but he did get a speeding ticket for doing 95. Well, I see, if I was a cop, I would have gave you a warning. Multi-Gunman lolled. Carlo lolled. And Wesley says, I'm as tall as you, Bird. Well, I bet you're taller because you're standing up these days. And Josh Reed, Bird, they don't make anything for hobbits like you and Anti-Trekker. Good night, all. Take care. And kapla. Yes, end broadcast.